Welcome to LBGC News. I'm Joe Martin, and in today's main stories we have: how is plastic pollution ruining our environment? The rise of food banks and food clubs in our society. The issues surrounding bullying and the consequences to mental health. We'll also examine the links between being a veteran and homelessness. Are children facing an increase in mental illness, and if so, what are the solutions? Is the air we breathe unsafe? We look at some high-tech solutions that we can all embrace. This is Joe Martin reporting from LBGC News Studios, and these are our top stories. We all use plastics every day, but do we consider the consequences of plastic use on our environment? Are there any measures we can take to reduce the reliance on plastics? We join our environment correspondent Caitlin Hartley for this special report.
You are watching Lancaster Boys and Girls Club News Report. I am reporting from Morecambe Bay in Lancashire, and I am Kate Hartley. Scientists predict that by 2050 there will be more plastic in the sea than fish. Current estimates show that at least 8 million pieces of plastic are entering oceans every single day. 800,000 tons of plastic packaging is used every year by our top supermarkets. According to Plymouth University, there are over 700 marine specialists who suggest that at least 100 million marine mammals are killed through plastic pollution. We managed to get in touch with Councillor Margaret Patterson from Heysham North, who was willing to talk to us about what our local government is trying to do to improve plastic pollution.
As you can see across the bay, we've got a beautiful bay, but it doesn't always, from a distance, look very clean. It's not 100% clean, Morecambe Bay, but we can go further, but every time we can go further. In Morecambe, we do have regular beach cleans, and you know, the things that's out there, you know, like even little cotton buds that could kill our sea life. When you think of how many things are sold in a supermarket every day, and how much food we all consume. So, you know, we need to educate the children in the schools to get the parents to recycle. So, you know, so there's no excuse really for not recycling. Yeah, by law it should be that everybody recycles, because it's going out into the sea and it's just destroying our sea life.
We are lucky enough to catch up with Mark Young, a scientist and environmental teacher from Cedar House School, who explains possible solutions for our plastic epidemic.
In 2016, a geological survey announced that we'd entered a new epoch in history. We're now in a new geological time period which they call the Anthropocene. The reason they called it that is because human beings have now introduced so many new substances into the planet and changed the atmosphere so much, it's actually getting into the rocks. So the new rocks that are being made today contain a history and a record of human beings. So we've affected the planet to that extent. And one of those things is plastics. So in the geological record now, we have plastics, substances that have never been on this planet before. If you think about it, we were still using mostly Bakelite in the 1950s. This is a very, very early form of plastic. So all the new plastics we've got now, this is a brand new problem for us. And we've used a lot of our ingenuity, our technology, our research, all of our best has gone into designing these new materials. And if we put the same amount of effort into solving the waste problem. One of the most obvious solutions with all of this huge volume of plastics that we're collecting, some of which to recycle, some of which to try and reuse, one of the obvious solutions is to simply burn it. And of course with plastics, like any other thing made from fossil fuels, it contains a lot of energy. So we can get the energy out, we can use that for heating, for electricity. But that comes with problems, because of course we're putting more pollutants into the atmosphere. Technology we've got now can reduce those pollutants to a very low level, but we're still going to be releasing the carbon dioxide, which we know is causing our climate change. A much more exciting solution, which is actually using the biology of our planet, is actually using bacteria to recycle our plastic for us. At one stage, we believe in our evolutionary past, trees were one of the most successful organisms on the planet. And so our trees grew huge and the planet was covered with trees. And then they would die and they would just lie there. And we think that at some point in evolution, a fungus developed that could actually break down trees. So at one point, the problem in this planet wasn't plastic pollution, it was tree pollution. And the fungus evolved to be able to break down trees. And that changed the planet completely, because now all the nutrients were getting recycled and more biodiversity could take place. Because we've created so much plastic, it's worthwhile for bacteria to eat it, to break it down, and so they've evolved to do so. And so I think we will be we might actually have a problem in the future where our plastics aren't lasting because it's getting infected by bacteria that can break it down, just like our cars go rusty. But those could be small enough to get into cells, and then we don't know what effect, we actually don't know what effect that'll have. So we could end up eating these nanoplastics, they get into our body cells, might do us no harm at all, or they might start causing new types of cancers, or we just don't know, actually. Yeah.
This is a big problem, as you can see. This isn't just affecting marine life, but also our tourist attractions and coastline. We need to act now. I'm Kate Hartley reporting from Morecambe.
Thank you, Caitlin. It's not just plastic that is thrown away, food is also wasted on a mammoth scale. Millie Thompson joins us now with a report about how we can save money and the environment. Hi Millie, what can you tell us about food wastage and the possible solutions?
Hello Joe. Sadly, roughly 1/3 of food produced in the world for human consumption every year, approximately 1.3 billion tonnes, gets wasted or destroyed. Research shows that 1.3 million food supplies have been donated over the last 12 months to food clubs. Nearly 4 million UK adults are forced to use food clubs to survive and put food on their tables each week. A food club is a place where local shops and supermarkets donate going out of date but safe food to be enjoyed by local residents. For a small fee, people can enjoy a hot meal and gather in a social context. Food clubs do prevent social isolation and encourages people to talk to one another when they attend. Mandy Hartley is a member of Sustainability Morecambe, and we managed to find out the reasons why she attends on a weekly basis.
The one that I attend is called Sustainability Morecambe. Now, what appealed to me was the sustainability. A lot of food goes into the bin, and I just cannot conceive the idea of food waste. So to know that I was actually preventing food from going into the bin made me really happy. So to know that I'm actually eating food that otherwise would have been thrown away, that's all good for me. More and more food clubs are popping up in areas, so much so that the food at the depot that's held in Preston are struggling to hand out all the food. So there's less and less food in the clubs because there's more and more food clubs popping up all over the place. Each club will have their own set night. The rules is you can't go from club to club because that's not fair. Anybody can go. You don't have to be on benefits, you don't have to be of any nationality, race, or it's open to anyone because it's a club, so it's all based on paying your membership. Most food clubs have a maximum number of people that can attend. Each one is different. So the one that I attend has a maximum of 60 people. Now, the rules are that if you don't attend within 3 times, you lose your place. My membership is £2.50. Now, that £2.50 is the membership. It's not the bag of food. That's really important to understand. The membership pays for you to stay as part of the club. You get a cup of tea, you get a biscuit, and it just so happens that you might walk away with some food.
Friendships are formed and strong sense of unity is forged, as most people are members for the same reason, more or less. We managed to speak with Frances Trainer, treasurer of Sustainability Morecambe Food Club, who has been passionate about food waste.
Well, I first got involved because we ran the food club at a cafe down the road that I volunteered at. So I basically just went to make the tea and coffee and help to set up and clear up. That was all I ever wanted to do. Our food club is very sociable. We have a bit of a cafe situation before we start handing the food out, or people help themselves to the food, and it's very sociable. If we didn't run the food clubs, the food would go into landfill. In a lot of areas where there isn't much employment now, a lot of people are surviving on benefits. So for families or anybody on a low income, whether you're on benefits, working or whatever, having a food club and being able to access food is vitally important.
Although food clubs are an amazing social project, it is a problem of food waste that needs addressing. Food waste has been in the media limelight for growing concerns over environmental and socio-economic reasons. We caught up with a representative of Asda supermarket to ask them about food waste.
Asda work with Fair Share and Trussell Trust in the local area. My Asda at Lancaster actually works closely with Trussell Trust for the food banks. We also work with Fair Share for the food clubs, which is where the surplus stock goes. Most of our out-of-date stock actually goes to a local food club. Anything chilled or frozen is wasted, unfortunately, because we don't have the provisions to provide that yet. In the local climate with the food poverty in the area, I think it's definitely a big issue, and I think wastage of food is something that could help towards food poverty, so I do think it's important.
We acknowledge that household food waste is decreasing and our landfill sites are not receiving as much food waste as in previous years, but we still have a long way to go, improving the way we work together and encourage families to be conscientious of how much they buy and how much food they waste and throwing away. My name is Millie Thompson and I've been reporting from LBGC News.
Thank you, Millie. Food banks certainly seem like a great way to make new friends and reduce the amount of food we throw away. If you have ever been bullied, you'll know how it affects your mental well-being, and now, in the age of social media, bullying seems to be on the increase. We join Monty Tresham with his special report about the consequences of bullying and what steps can be taken if you feel you are a victim. Hello, Monty.
Hello, Joe. It's your boy Montgomery here to talk about some very important issues that could be affecting some of you guys out there on the streets and on the internet. Let me hit you with some tasty facts. More than half the population under the age of 25 have been bullied. 17% of people have had experience with cyberbullying. People who are bullied are more likely to become bullies. People who have got mental issues are more prone to bullying. Now let's switch it up with some exclusive interviews that I managed to scoop.
I work for the NSPCC, and as part of that is Childline, and we go up to the age of 18, so it's hard for me to comment up to the age of 25. Most of the stuff I can comment on is about Childline as a service, in terms of how many children contacted us related to bullying. Last year, so the years 17 to 18, there was just under 20,000 children up to the age of 18 that contacted us at Childline specifically about bullying and things that are around bullying. A lot of it stems from difference, whether it's difference of opinions, difference of backgrounds, difference of choices. It can be something that unfortunately gets picked out and can be basically discriminated against for that reason. I think cyberbullying is a massive issue these days, and unfortunately when it comes to cyberbullying it can invade every area of a child's life. So it's a massive issue. It's about knowing what help and support is out there is really important. So that's why as part of my job I promote Childline as a service, so children know where they can go and get some help, but also about knowing what local services and face-to-face services are available for children to get them the help that they need. So as far as the NSPCC goes, we offer a number of different resources and programmes to help and support schools, and obviously all around the country there'll be other local initiatives. Literally our programme is called Speak Out and Stay Safe, so it's about letting children know that they should speak out about it, that the help is there, and that's the way to go about it rather than keeping it in and trying to solve the problems themselves, because that's a really big ask of anyone.
The point of being just picked on, often, and having yourself ridiculed in front of other people, it's just it affects your confidence. You start to not enjoy your classes. You start to not enjoy your break time, and you look forward to going home. And so it just becomes a weight around your neck, I think, is the best way to describe that. And it's tiring. Technology today, sadly, allows people to follow you into their own home. So the idea of being bullied at school and that bully being able to send text messages or posts on Facebook, oh, look at this person, how ugly they are, how stupid they look, and being ridiculed by possibly millions of people around the world must be just terrifying. Ultimately, bullies are also scared themselves, which is why they pick on people they think are less than them or different to them. They're scared too, and by you reaching out for help, you will find solidarity. Hopefully it won't last. However dark bullying seems now, from my experience, you can get over it if you have the right help and advice.
I'd like to say a big thank you to the local interviewees who helped me learn a lot about the importance of the effects of bullying and how we can hope to all overcome it. Back to you, Joe, in the studio.
Thank you, Monty. A very lively report there. We now have a very special report concerning the problems of homelessness and in particular homelessness amongst veterans. Here's our reporter, Vaughan Everall.
Hello, Joe. Across the UK, there is sadly a huge number of people sleeping rough and a large proportion of those who are ex-service members. Every night there is at least 320,000 people sleeping on the streets. The main cause of homelessness is a lack of affordable housing, but other factors such as mental health issues and drug abuse play a role. Ex-members of our armed forces also find themselves unable to adjust to life after traumatic experiences and find themselves homeless. Most veterans become homeless because the lack of support and are suffering from post-traumatic stress. They often find it difficult to fit back into society, and if they are injured, they may find employment difficult. Most veterans become homeless because lack of support and are suffering from post-traumatic stress. They often find it difficult to fit back into society, and if they are injured, they may find employment difficult. We've been talking to a number of veterans about their experiences.
I think homelessness really is sort of a problem for all of us. I don't think that's sort of veteran specific. I've been sort of working in the town centre now, how long? Sort of 18 months. I've even noticed within that time that there's more rough sleepers now than there was, say, 18 months ago. Why do people become homeless? I think anyone who becomes homeless really is in quite a vulnerable position. So I think we've got to look at sort of wider circumstances. Might have lost the job. They might not have the money for rent and things like that. Might be sort of struggling within themselves a little bit, so sort of looking at mental health. I know when I was in the forces, I've been out a good 13 years now, but certainly when I was in the forces, everything was done for me really. I sort of took that for granted a little bit. Didn't have sort of council tax or bills or anything like that to worry about. All my food and accommodation was paid for. I was quite fortunate really when I came out. I sort of had good sort of support networks. I had family and friends to rely on. Yeah, and I suppose not everybody has that. Not everybody has that support network. The forces are quite proud as well. Actually, it's quite a proud culture to be in, and sometimes asking for help maybe can be a little bit difficult as well. I suppose if you look at the culture, it's very much team-based. When you're in the forces, it's everyone together. There's sort of quite a lot of camaraderie. I suppose when you leave, you can maybe feel a little bit isolated. You're looking then for different employment. There's all sorts of different things to get used to. We just touched on it a little bit there, sort of budgeting, making sure all your bills are in order, sort of keeping house and things like that. And if you haven't got those support networks in place, that can be a little bit difficult. I don't know exactly off the top of my head how many sort of military charities there are. I've been sort of doing my job as a support coordinator now for about 18 months, and I suppose the amount that I've learned in that time has been quite phenomenal really. There's all sorts of different agencies that can help. You can help with sort of like education, help with employment. You do actually get a little bit of funding as well when you leave the forces, so it's called like resettlement. When I left, you sort of get a little bit of cash to do sort of extra courses and things like that, and sort of help you move into sort of civilian life. So Yeah, I think as long as people come forward and they ask for that help, that that is available.
Vaughan Payne-Deverell reporting for Lancaster Boys and Girls Club News.
Very interesting and thought-provoking report there, Vaughan. Mental illness certainly seems to be on the rise. We now look at the issues involved with our health correspondent, Henry Wright.
Hello, I'm Henry Wright from the LBGC News programme, and today I'm going to talk to you about a very dangerous killer, mental health. Mental health is a person's condition with regards to their psychological and emotional well-being. Here are some facts about this horror. 1/4 of the population of the UK suffer from a mental illness. 75% of young people with a mental illness get no treatment at all. 10% of a class, average 30 people, suffer from a mental health problem. And the average way of treatment for a mental health service user is an average of 10 years.
I guess with young people, we've got a lot of young people who suffer with anxiety, low mood and self-harm. So I would say those are probably the most common issues that I deal with in my job role. We try our utmost best to make sure that young people with mental health issues don't get hospitalised. So part of my job role is to try and work with young people in the community. So sometimes I work with them at school, sometimes I work with them at home, sometimes I work with children's centres to help them not end up getting hospitalised. I would say that technology to a degree does make things worse, yeah, because there's a lot of pressures on social media, a lot of sort of bullying that happens in social media that wasn't sort of a thing 20 years ago. So I would say to a degree technology does make it worse. It can sort of make some of their symptoms worse. If they're already feeling sort of anxious and socially withdrawn, then they could end up sort of binging on the Xbox or something like that, which is unconscious. People are isolated. So I would say to a degree, yeah, technology has kind of made mental health issues a bit worse, but on the plus side, it's made it more sort of knowledgeable, more accessible for people to get help if they need help. So I would always say like the first point of contact would be sort of talking to either their parents, talking to the school nurses, talking to the school counsellors, just to see if it's issues that can be managed within school or at home. If it's becoming a more sort of serious issue, they can go to their GP. There's also a lot of self-help tools online, so there's loads of different apps and sort of chat helplines, text lines that young people can access as well.
These aren't the only facts. You can find out more at mind.org.uk. They look to change and give service users of mental health a better life. And these are people who you can talk to if you are a service user of the monster, mental health. We can turn mental health upside down if we work together. I'm Henry Ryan, this is LBGC News. Back to you in the studio.
Finally, a feel-good story about the importance of youth work to a community and the help of one local supermarket in providing to our very own Lancaster Boys and Girls Club. Here's Sam with all the information.
Hello Joe, this is Sam Elshaw and I'm reporting from Lancaster Boys and Girls Club Live as we have a very special guest from Asda. Hayley has come tonight to present a cheque from Asda Foundation to the Box Fitness Club here at the club. The Box Fitness has been awarded £1,000 tonight to replace boxing equipment.
Yeah, the Asda Foundation grant is £1,000 a year and it's specifically for sporting events and sporting places, which is a charity donation which was set up 30 years ago, and they donate to a lot of charities in the local area. So tonight it was donated to the boxing club and it's for new equipment for the boxing club. One of the members, Rory, got in touch with us and we sent out an application form to him and we got involved because he seemed very passionate about the group and we really wanted to help out. Yes, you have Lancaster Boys and Girls Club have actually applied to be on the Green Token scheme, which is another funding that Asda offer. So hopefully we will, going forward, we will go on to that, and there is other funding available.
The boxing club is open on Mondays and Wednesday nights from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. from junior ages 8 to 16 years old, and the adults are afterwards. Boxing is great sport to keep fit. Box fit brings stamina and it is great fun. Why not come down and join it?
Thank you, Sam. And on that note, our edition of LBGC News comes to an end. Thank you for watching from all the team here. This was Joe Martin and this was LBGC News.
Tell me, what is the solution to all this confusion and pollution? The end of the world can be the conclusion. Maybe it's time to start a revolution.
As we walk across the beach, all we see is a massive ocean. We the ones that should be ashamed, killing animals with little pollution.
Tell me, what is the solution to all this confusion and pollution? The end of the world can be the conclusion. Maybe it's time to start a revolution.
Bullying is bad and make people sad. So much stress and emotional pressure. Stop and think if we say a word to save us from getting upset.
Tell me, what is the solution to all this confusion and pollution? The end of the world can be the conclusion. Maybe it's time to start a revolution.
Have you ever thought about wasted food and about those who starve in our world? How embarrassing must feel without doing without when there's something we could do to help out?
Tell me, what is the solution to all this confusion and pollution? The end of the world can be the conclusion. Maybe it's time to start a revolution.
Sleeping heroes, they need our help. We wore the uniforms with pride. Now ain't no time for them, and leave them all alone. Live without comfort, they are for the rest.
Tell me, what is the solution to all this confusion and pollution? The end of the world can be the conclusion. Maybe it's time to start a revolution.